Hello and welcome to this video which covers the recent enhancements that we've been making to the invoicing module. In this video, we're going to cover invoice items, invoice item reporting, invoice templates, invoice discounts, and some of the other new features that we've added. We're going to start by looking at invoice settings, which is this settings icon in the top right-hand corner of the screen, and we're going to work our way down this settings menu. Now, invoice profiles, these are not new, they've always existed. This is how you customize how your invoices look and what information is included. If you haven't already done so, when you first come to the invoicing module, you'll need to set up an invoice profile. If we click on one that's already been started, we can see that we can add our logo, our color schemes, our organization's details, our payment terms, etc. as part of the invoice profile. And you will need to do that, as I've mentioned, when you first come into the module. Invoice templates, this is a new section that has appeared on the settings menu. This essentially is a new way to allow you to create invoices. So rather than just creating invoices from scratch or by copying an existing invoice, you can now set up an invoice template and create invoices from that template. And I'll show you how to do that later in this video. Invoice items, if we take a look at this screen, these are the different goods and services that we are invoicing our customers for. If you have a room that you hire out, for example, then you would want to add it as a saved invoice item to appear here. You can add a unit price for each of your different items, and that will mean that when you're creating your invoices, it's very easy then just to add quantities and details of the particular resource or good that has been provided on your invoices, and I'll show you how to do that in a moment. Saved invoice items can be reused for multiple invoices. So they are things like the different rooms or the different kind of elements to a wedding, all those different things that you might kind of regularly use. You can also have one-off invoice items as well. If you want to view all invoice items, there's an option to do so using this view all invoice items button here. And if you want to turn a saved invoice item to unsave it, then you can just click this cross button. And equally, if you want to turn an item that isn't saved into a saved invoice item that can be reused for future invoices, it's the tick button inside here. And then finally, you can apply invoice tags to your different invoice items. And this is useful when we come to talk about invoice item reporting. By adding a tag to your different invoice items, it will allow you inside the report that we're going to look at to be able to segregate that report just down to the particular invoice item tag that you're interested in viewing. If we go back to the invoice settings menu again, then let me just show you the final option on here, which is other settings. So if you are not wanting to use the new invoicing features that we've added to this module, then you can disable invoice quantities. What this will do is it will mean that when you're entering invoices, you will only need to enter for your invoice item lines, only an item name and an amount as you've done previously. We wouldn't recommend this, but if that is what you'd like to do, then this is the setting that you need to change for that. So let's go ahead and look at how to create invoices then. So back inside the invoicing module, we can create invoice, and we've got the three options for creating invoices. Create new, i.e. from scratch, create from a template, which is that new feature that we've added, and copying an existing invoice. And I'll show you how each of these works as we go through. So create new invoice then, we submit, and then we enter the details. This again has not changed. We select a customer, we enter a date, and then we enter a title. And so we are going to put building hire as our title in here. In terms of the invoice items, as mentioned, we would recommend you kind of use items as the different resources and kind of goods and services that you're invoicing people for. So for this particular customer, we are going to charge them for 3 hours of our main haul. So we can just come in here and select 3 hours of our main haul in here. You can add multiple rows just as you would have previously been able to do so. And if you enter an invoice item that is not in the list, so I can start typing in here lunch for Jim in here, I'm going to charge him a £5. So it's not in here. I can add it as an invoice item. I can just enter a price in here really easily and then click submit, and that's created a one-off invoice item. So you can build your invoices like this. Now, when you're invoicing for things like building hire, you may well want to let the customer know which dates the things that you're invoicing them for relate to. If you're going to do that, you're better to do it down in the notes to customer section. This is where you can include a note to the customer. It will appear on the invoice and it will show them the different dates that they've hired. And it's better to do this rather than to create kind of custom one-off invoice items for each kind of room and date, as you may have previously done. So do check this out. Invoice items wants to be the goods or services that you're kind of hiring out with, and then the notes to customers where the detail goes as to the dates and the times that they may have used those resources. So that is creating an invoice from scratch. I'm going to click cancel to that. I'm going to show you the other two options. So create from existing or copy from existing is the same feature that used to exist, except there's a much nicer search feature. So rather than going to find the invoice and then clicking the copy button, this screen just allows you to see all invoices. I can filter this down just to a particular customer. I can then very easily click on the last invoice I created for this customer, click confirm. I can enter an invoice date, which is going to be next month's invoice. I'm going to set the 1st of August, click confirm, and this has generated me the invoice just as you'd have previously done using the copy feature. Again, we've got our invoice items here, which are the different resources or goods or services that they have used from us. Down in the notes to customer section, this is where we include the notes about when these resources were used. And you might have noticed there's a new discount section on here as well, where you can apply a discount to the invoice if you would like to. If you don't apply a discount, the discount line will not appear on the invoice. If you do want to give the customer a discount, in this case, we're going to give them a 10% discount because they are a regular hirer of our building. So we're going to reduce the rates that we hire out by 10% across the board. Then you can add a discount in here, and then you can click update. So it's very easy to add discounts as well. And then the final option for creating an invoice is to click create and to use this copy from template option. We're going to select a template that we've created, which is our wedding template. We're going to select who the person we're invoicing is, and we are going to select the date and click submit. Instead of copying an existing invoice, what this has done is it's used our wedding template to create a wedding invoice for this particular person. Now, again, we can customize this if we want to. For example, if they're sorting their own flowers out, we can either remove this line, invoice line called flowers, or we can just zero it, so there's zero quantity. And so you can still customize a invoice template before then creating. Again, you can apply a discount. You can set some default income allocations for the templates you create. But creating from template is a really great new feature that allows you to create invoices from template rather than copying an existing invoice. The final thing I'm going to show you in this video is the new invoice items report. Remember, invoice items are the different goods or services that you kind of charge your customers for. And that means that you can produce now a brilliant report which allows you to view kind of the income from all of your different invoice items. So here we're seeing all of the invoice items that have been used during this period. We've chosen to hide the ones that have not been used. So we're just seeing the ones that have been used. And we're seeing the income that's been generated per month for each of these invoice items. If we want to, we can switch this to quantity, which will then just show us the quantity that of each resource that has kind of been invoiced for in each of the different months in our financial year. If we want to take a closer look, we can click on a particular row or cell and we can drill down. We can then see the different invoices that the kind of relates to the amount or the quantity that we've just looked at, and we can also drill into a particular invoice if we would like to see further details. So this report is really useful, and if you do apply invoice tags rather than seeing all invoice items at this point, you can then say, look, please only show me the ones that relate to room hire, and you can create a really nice custom report which is going to show you how you've hired out those resources that relate to your invoice item tag. So all those different invoice items, you can view that across each of your different months. So I hope you found this short video helpful. And firstly, it's worth mentioning that we are going to be adding further additions to the invoicing module in this September. These include the ability to add multiple customer contacts, to send test invoice emails to yourself, the inclusion of any part payments received in invoices that you kind of regenerate for customers. Also, the ability to bulk create invoices using the invoice templates feature, so to be able to create invoices for multiple customers at the click of a button, and also additional invoice reporting as well. If you'd like to find out more, then we will be running a lunch and learn session in September. You can find out more about this by clicking on the blue help icon, which is in the top right hand corner of the screen, and then clicking on training sessions. Inside here, then you can sign up for our invoicing lunch and learn session, which is on the 30th of September, just by clicking book session, and we will cover the invoicing module, including the additional new features that are coming in September in that session. Thanks so much for watching.